Hey Jackal! In today's video, we'll take a look how to make a weekly weather forecast in DaVinci Resolve. And it could look something like this. Now let's get digital. Open the media pool, right click, make a new fusion composition, give it a name if you want, make it, put it onto a timeline, also extend the duration if you want to make some animations, select the fusion composition and go into the fusion page. Now we have a couple of options on how to do this, but first off let's start with the easy things, which is the text. Now currently I actually don't have the font manager opened, and I can still select from all of the fonts, which is nice. This was previously not the case. And I needed to launch the font manager, in this case font base, before I was able to use all of the available fonts. So if they fix that, that is awesome. Anyway, let's make the text. So how could the template look like? We could have the name of the city, the days, and the temperature. This would be a basic one. But you could also have other information if you wanted to. Add the text, rename it. So this will be the city, then we'll have the day and the temperature. F2 to rename the nodes. And let me just make a basic look as well. So we need a background node and a rectangle. And the background will be in the back, so Ctrl T to switch between these two inputs. And now the rectangle, we can use the current radius to make this a little bit nicer looking, like that. Change the color to a bluish one and adjust the alpha, maybe 0.9. So I'll just go with this data. So we have Davenport, then we have the day. Now this could be done in a few ways. We could have each day separately, or we could just do it in one node. I'll press the tab, so this is why the line showed up. So now I have a bunch of lines. Let me move the name of the city, and I also need to change the font. So we have the city, we will now fix the days. And I'll also change the font to this one, just like that. Now maybe this font needs to be smaller, so 0.02 for this font, that looks about right. And bold. Now the Monday will be here, and now I have to position the rest of the tabs. We have the tab spacing, the first one selected is this one. Now if you want to change the alignment, you can click at the top or align the text down here. I'll just leave all of them to the center alignment, but now I have to adjust the position. So I'll simply adjust all of the tab positions so they fit inside this background. And you also don't need to adjust the position here, you can simply click on the dotted line. So we have that. Since I have this positioned, I will copy the days node, paste it, and then I'll rename it to temperature. So now I can simply position this down. So we can go to the layout, change the font and change the text. Now at this point, it will depend on what you want to do with the template. It may not be the best solution to use hard-coded values and also have degrees like this inside the text. Also, this font doesn't support the degree sign, so if you need it, select a font that actually has it. Now this is not the best way to do this, because we will be hard coding the values inside the text field. So what we could do, maybe, is make an expression. And as you can see, this is how the text looks like. So we can use this to make the expression. So what we need to do is, let me just make a custom tool. So shift space, custom tool. We have a bunch of values, so we can use the 7 values inside the custom tool from 1 to 7, each representing a day. So when the user types in a value, maybe 17.5, we will take this value and input it before the degree sign. So I'll just type in random values. So we have 7 values, and now I have to input them into the temperature expression. How this will be done? Let me delete this section. So instead of 17, we need to type in the name of the tool, which is this value. If I hover over it, on the bottom left, you can see what you have to type in. So custom tool 1 dot number in 1. Of course, this will not work out of the box. So you have to type in 2 dots. And also, let's see what we have here. And put a quotation mark in the front. So now we have 17.5 degrees as you have in the custom tool. And now I can also change this value. Now we could also limit how many decimals we want to display, since you can't assume that the user will just type in 1 decimal. So the easiest way to do that would be to multiply this by 10, round it, and then divide it by 10. And this should give us 1 decimal. So let's see. And now, as you can see, we have 1 decimal. Now I'll just copy this expression, open Notepad. So now we have to copy this section and format it in a way to replace the rest of the days. So we need a quotation mark at the end. So this /t is the tab. Then we need to put in 2 dots. So we can add the second expression, change this value to 2, and simply copy this now. So this will be Tuesday, and I can basically copy this line a bunch of times. So I have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the last one doesn't need a tab and also doesn't need 2 dots. Now I simply need to change the values, copy this, and paste it in the expression. Oh yeah, of course it doesn't like it. I'll just see what the mistake was. I was changing to wrong values. The node is the same, so custom tool in 1, we need to change the number ins from 1 to 7. And now this should work as expected. So do we have all of the values as we have them here? So we have 20, 23, 21, 5, 35, and 31.9. So we can change the values. Let's go to a -1. And this also works. Now, if you don't want to switch between the Celsius and the Fahrenheit, I also have a video on how to do that with a push of a button. In this case, we could maybe copy the temperatures, add a dissolve node, so we would switch between one or the second one. So dissolve. Now this second one, instead of the Celsius, we'd need to have Fahrenheit. And then in the dissolve node, we would simply switch like this instantly. Now the value is different. In case of the Fahrenheit, I think this needs to be multiplied by 1.8. So I was close. It's multiplied by 1.8 plus 32. So if you wanted to do that, you would then multiply this by 1.8. And after the division, we would do plus 32. So we would get something like this. Because we have the custom tool and we use a bunch of values, we could also use the custom tool to add a checkbox to check whether we want this to be Celsius or Fahrenheit. So we can right click on node, edit controls. For the name, we would use Celsius/Fahrenheit. This would then go to the controls page. So this is the controls page, select it. And this would be a checkbox. So checkbox control, and that's it. So we have Celsius for Fahrenheit, and we can now link this value to the dissolve node. Again, hover over the control, and on the bottom left side, you can see what you have to type in. So equals, so custom tool 1 dot Celsius underscore Fahrenheit. This value is 1 by default, and if I click, this will change, at least it should, but this F is capital. So now the values change when you click on the checkbox. Now in the template, changing the name of the city is easy, it's just a text field. You could also change the name of the days, especially if they are not in English. We now also have the temperatures done. You would need to do the same calculation for the other fields. So that would be something like this. Let me copy it, paste it here, copy this. So this is the calculation that you need to do, and also change the C to F. Paste this in, and now we have the Fahrenheit. Now the last thing that we need are the icons. So you could make icons as images. You could also have video, or you could also make it inside DaVinci Resolve. Now the easiest way to do it is to just have the icons as images. I don't have any on hand, so let's see if I can download this one, save image as. So this is an SVG file. You can also use SVG files. So in this case we have to go to Fusion, import SVG. So we have the weather icon, open it, and see how this actually looks like. So this one looks okay. Let's see how it will look in this composition. So it's quite tiny, as you can see, but you would be able to do it like this with images. Now in this case, because it's an SVG, it's not ideal, because if it was just an image, you would get a media in node. Now the media in node takes a clip name. This could be an image, so you would simply drag it from the timeline inside here, but you can also put in a custom video. And the video clip can have the icon animated, and the video itself can be transparent. So you won't have any issues if you put it inside like this. Now you can make custom animations inside DaVinci Resolve and export them as a transparent video, and maybe I'll do that in a separate video, but you have a couple of options on how you could go about doing this. You could use polygons to make the icons. So you could stack a bunch of ellipses to make the clouds, to make the sun and rain and all of the other elements that you would need. So you could have something like this. This is just a quick example. The second way, instead of using the polygons, is to go to Effects, Tools, and we have the shape nodes. So you could also make the clouds and everything else with the shapes. So you can also do it with the shapes. In this case you need the render node, so you can connect it to the final composition. And then you would basically simply animate the components if you want to make this into animations. In this case, with the shape tools, we don't have any good controls to animate this. So we would also probably need to use the S transfer nodes to have an easier time animating this. So in this case, we could maybe animate the Y offset. So we can have a simple animation like this one. And let me just show you how you would export this as a transparent video. So this is the composition that I have. You would go to the deliver page. You would then go to export video. Select QuickTime. I think it's the grass valley one. And you have export alpha. And this would export the video as a transparent video. Now to make this into a template, I do have a bunch of videos on that, but what you have to do is select all of the nodes, select them in order, right click on one of them, make a macro, and enable all of the options that you want to enable. What we will change is the city, so let me find it, so I can show you on the day. In the text nodes, what you would want to change is the style text, font, style, the color, and the size, and maybe if you needed to, also the position. So this is under the layout, center position. So this would be for the city. I don't know if you change anything for the day. Now in the temperatures, you wouldn't want to be able to change anything, maybe just the font, so you can change it in case you don't have it installed on the PC. And in the media in node, or the images or videos that you would use, let me just find it. So media in the media in node, you would enable the clip name, so you can simply drag and drop the clip from the media pool in the edit page into this field. And then we also have the custom tool. You would enable all of the numbers, so from 1 to 7, and also enable the checkbox so you can switch between the values from the Fahrenheit and the Celsius. And that's it. If you found the video helpful, do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more DaVinci Resolve content, and until next time, jackals, keep it digital.